Donald Trump's longest-serving chief of staff has just said that he functionally fits the definition of a fascist.
I'm glad that people closest to Trump who worked with him so closely for the longest amount of times are coming out and saying this explicitly. He said one thing where he talked about how Trump wanted his generals to act more like Hitler's generals.
Yes.
And John Kelly was like, what do you mean by that? Like German generals? Did you mean like Otto von Bismarck's generals? Do you mean like the Kaiser's generals? Like which generals are you talking about? He's like, I'm talking about Hitler's ones.
Hitler.
No, Hitler's generals. Those guys knew what was up. Also, I doubt Trump knew who Otto von Bismarck was or what the word Kaiser meant.
Yeah.
So, he's just openly saying that he wishes his generals were more like Hitler's generals. Obviously, that doesn't mean that he wants them rounding up Jews and killing them. That's not what he means by that.
No.
What he means by that is he wants them to be totally within his control.
Yes.
He wants his generals to be his generals, not the country's generals, not the Constitution's generals. He wants his generals to be his generals.
Yeah.
Which should scare everybody. That's his mindset. That is truly frightening.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like it's going to put people who listen to it, or who are at least our Trump supporters, in this place. They're going to be split between two sides.
Mm-hmm.
One are people who are like diehard Trump supporters who want him to be able to execute any idea he has, are going to be like, oh, fuck yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, you absolutely need generals that are following you like they followed Hitler.
Yes.
And then you're going to have the other people who project what they want onto Trump and follow him because he's put himself in this position where no one has to actually believe what he says.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to say, oh, even if he does mean that, it's not going to happen.
Yes, and that's actually one of the biggest problems right now is that we've talked about this before, of people not believing Trump when he says exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Either that he'll never be able to get it done, or he doesn't actually mean that. He's just an idiot. Sagar Enjeti, one of the hosts on another YouTube show called Breaking Point, says this all the time. He's like, yes, Trump does all this crazy stuff, but it's not going to happen anyway. It didn't happen when he was president before, so why is it going to happen this time? Let's stop talking about all that crazy stuff. That's just par for the course. A really good example of this is New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. Okay, he went on CNN today, and Chris Sununu is supposed to be like this moderate Republican. He endorsed Nikki Haley, but then he said if Nikki Haley loses the primary, I'll endorse Trump. He was asked about this directly, about these Hitler comments, about wanting his generals to be more like Hitler, and Chris Sununu says, yeah, those types of comments are kind of baked in. Maybe
he's right though.
But he's right. But maybe you shouldn't be supporting the guy that has Hitler comments baked in.
Yes,
right.
And this is why I think the Democrats, like the Harris Walz campaign, has tried so hard to put an emphasis on values and to distinguish themselves from Trump because of the values. Because if people do focus on the values, they can see that what Trump says actually does matter because they are actually representative of his values.
Yes. And values are half of it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not just the policy that you write, it's the how you implement what you're going to do.
Well, it's like, what are you going to try to do?
Yes.
Right. And he's going to try to be dictatorial, at least. He's going to try to consolidate too much executive power for it to be safe.
Yep. And this guy, John Kelly, Donald Trump won't hire people like John Kelly anymore.
That's the issue.
And so when we get into a 2024, God forbid, 2025 a Trump administration, he won't have any of those people around him constraining his worst beliefs, his worst values from being projected onto policy enactment.
Yes. They have spent the last 4 years right, vetting people for loyalty to Donald Trump more than anything else, right? They want people, sure, who are still competent to be able to fill positions in the executive branch. But more important than that is just that they listen to Donald Trump.
And I can't think of anything more dangerous than having a military and having a president who believes in a military that is only subservient to him above all else. Mark Esper is the former Secretary of Defense under Donald Trump, and Mark Esper has made explicit comments. This guy, by the way, has not endorsed Donald Trump, will not be voting for Donald Trump, says Donald Trump is a threat to the country, also calls him a fascist. His Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. Mark Esper has said that Donald Trump wanted to use the military on U.S. citizens in different points throughout the administration.
Yes.
It's not normal. And I feel like I'm going crazy and I'm getting gaslit all the time because it's not normal.
Well, this is why, so I want to take it to the meta level now.
Yes.
Of we are not the only people ringing alarm bells about this and screaming that it's not normal.
Yeah.
So how do we have to frame this to get through to someone that like this actually is really a danger. Like it is fundamentally different than Trump's first term because they've prepared to make him more effective in his decision making.
That's an amazing question. And you know what's so cool about that question?
What?
We have a little bit of a platform now.
A little bit.
And the people who watch our videos don't agree with us all the time.
Yes.
And in the comment section, people argue with us.
Yes.
And we answer back sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching this video right now, and you are actually an independent, undecided / Trump supporter, we actually want to know the answer to that question.
Yes.
What would we have to show you to make you believe that all of these values and all of these statements from Trump actually matter in the next election coming up?
Yes. Yes. What do you need to see to think that the things that he wants to make happen actually could happen? Right? The things that you want to discount, that you want to throw in the trash and say, because he wasn't effective enough in his first term, they won't be able to happen in his second term. What could convince you otherwise?
We would actually really like to know the answer to that question.
Yeah.